Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So for those of you who are new, I am Dr. Alexandra Mayer. I am a naturopathic physician here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and this channel is for all things women's health. So we talk about hormones, we talk about aesthetics, and today we are talking about mindset. I have a super awesome guest with us. This is Maddie. We are going to be linking all of her Instagram so that you guys can dive a little bit more into her content because she has some amazing content on mindset. So welcome in, Maddie.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to get into our chats. They always go really, really well, and I'm sure everyone's going to get so much value from this.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I always love when we actually, Maddie and I had a conversation on her side of things on health and how focus and mindset manifestation can play a role in your health. So that's something that we chatted about in the past, and it was awesome. So I want to start by just kind of getting to know you. So give our viewers a little bit of your story, kind of what led you to where you are right now.
Sure. So I was probably very similar to a lot of you listening to this. I went to traditional education, high school, college. I originally went to college for fashion design. Ended up not wanting to do sewing class after about a month or two. Decided to switch majors to business, and then quickly realized that I didn't want to pay $60K a year for a business degree that I could get literally anywhere. So I transferred back home, got the piece of paper, if you will, got the business degree. And I had two options when I graduated college, it seemed, right? One seemed, okay, entrepreneur, or the other one seemed, okay, 40-year career in climbing the ladder, right? Mm-hmm. And so none of those sounded appealing to me. Entrepreneurship at the time sounded like I had to come up with six figures out of my pocket to be successful. And the 40-year career sounded like I'm going to be a slave to somebody else and work my life away to live in my retirement and then croak. So neither sounded appealing. So I started really digging into personal development, and I was just so hungry to figure out what people do for money and, you know, this dream life. We see this dream life everywhere of people traveling and, you know, doing what they love and earning, you know, six-figure months and $1 million months, and it just looks so appealing. But at the time it seemed so far out of reach. I didn't know anyone that was doing that. I didn't know anyone grew up in a small town in the middle of Massachusetts, so I didn't know anyone that had been this huge success online or was living their ideal life. If I looked around in my hometown, and don't take this the wrong way, but I didn't see anyone that I wanted to emulate. You know, I didn't want to have or take on any of those lifestyles. So I was kind of in a pickle. I had a bit of anxiety going on, and thank goodness for me, by the grace of God, my own dad is an entrepreneur. My mom was too for her entire life. But my dad at the time was getting into some material with Bob Proctor, and it resonated with me, and it was like hope. Like, that was the only thing at the time that I could latch on to that I was excited about. So I started studying with Bob and my dad at the time, and just dug deep into myself, into what I wanted. Started asking myself questions like, you know, if money wasn't an object and I didn't have to worry about money, you know, what would I be doing? What would I want to do? What would my life look like? Really deep questions. And for a little while, my world was turned upside down because I was questioning everything that I had been taught to believe was true, and started realizing that all of my results that I had thus far were because of my thinking, right? I had manifested everything that I had so far, and I was going for the rest of my life, like we all do, going to manifest whatever I experienced during this lifetime in the future. So I spent 6 months studying the information very, very deeply. It's information of how the wealthy 1% of the world thinks, acts, and operates. And so I really dug deep into what that meant, how they study, what their minds look like, how they think, what is manifestation, what's law of attraction, what are universal laws, you know, really dug deep. And within 6 months, I had quadrupled my income. I had my dream car, which was a brand new Range Rover Velar. And my body weight was in check. I was finally maintaining a stable weight without worrying or having anxiety around my weight. So quite literally in 6 months, my life just completely shifted. And I didn't know it was shifting until it had shifted. In other words, I couldn't see one point in time where everything changed, but it was just 6 months later, it was when I got the car and I was driving off the lot that I was like, oh my word, this stuff works, you know? And that inspired my whole entrepreneurial journey, and now teaching other people really how to become a master of their thinking so that they can create their ideal life. And I plan to dedicate the rest of my life doing it because it just never gets old. It's always
That's
something
awesome.
new to learn.
Yeah, it never gets old. I think that in a lot of people's experience, including my own, right, when you first start diving into these things, it seems very woo-woo, right? And not enough action. Like it feels like you constantly just have to be in a rat race to get to where you want to go. And although action's really, really important, I think that knowing where you want to go and having faith is also a big part of it. And being able to kind of reduce anxiety, right? Because one of the things that I notice in my patients is that what you focus on expands. And so oftentimes when you're focusing on things that are negative or things that are bothering you or things that are giving you anxiety, those things get bigger. So I wanted to kind of get you to just explain what law of attraction looks like in patients. Or in people, I guess, what does manifestation look like to you? Like, how do you explain it to clients that you have that have never done this before?
Yeah, so I was in the same boat, right? I thought it would never work for me, but I was super intrigued. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're listening to this and you don't really believe that it works, but you're also very intrigued, you're in the right place. Just have your ears open, have an open mind. Just don't reject the information, right? One thing that I did when I first started studying, I kept an open mind. When we reject, when we say no, things don't work for us, right? Thoughts become things. So manifestation as an umbrella is really taking nothing and turning it into something. It's taking a thought in your mind and turning it into a tangible, physical, seen thing in your reality. Steve Jobs with the iPhone, very simple example, right? Steve Jobs thought about the iPhone in his mind for so long before all of us had one in our pockets,
Yes.
right? That is a manifestation of the iPhone. The iPhone was always here. We just weren't aware of how to bring it down to our third dimension and experience and play with it here in the world. If you think about the Wright brothers who, created or became aware of flight, right? Nothing's actually created, it's just made aware of. So when the Wright brothers became aware of how to create flight, right, co-create flight with the universe or God, whatever you identify with, it was then a manifestation here in our physical realm. So everything that we are going to be and want to be is always already here. If you're thinking it in your mind, it's already here vibrationally. We just can't see it. It's kind of like a video game. Like it's there to win, it's there to earn, but it's not in the game yet. And manifestation is just the process of you plucking down what you want and putting it here into your physical realm. One thing that some people, when I tell them this, are like, ooh, really? But you're already manifesting, right? You can't shut it off. You can't shut it off. You can't choose to opt out of it. It would be like saying, gravity, I'm not going to believe in gravity and, I'm just going to choose to avoid that whole topic. But we know that if we jump off a building, it's not going to end so well for us if we jump off the building, right? Manifestation is no different, right? Gravity is a universal law. Manifestation is a universal law. So while manifestation is the whole process of how nothing turns to something, the law of attraction is the in-between law that kind of works to make what you want happen. So an easy way to think about the law of attraction is think about magnets, right? Magnets, if they're opposite, they repel. And if they're opposite, they stick together and they repel, right? So we're always magnetizing with what we want and repelling from what we don't want. We're always magnetizing to things and repelling from things. Now, the key is the way that we magnetize with things is through our thinking. And the thoughts that we're thinking on a daily basis are what puts everything into motion to be created. And so if you're thinking about debt all day long, think of it as you're magnetizing with debt all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you become a match for debt, you're just going to attract more debt. You're going to become a magnet for more debt. or for more unfortunate events when it comes to income. So law of attraction is kind of like a universal manager that oversees everyone and everything. And it's always pairing you up with what you're in harmony with and what you're not in harmony with. So when you start to intentionally manifest, right, deliberately create your reality, what you start to understand is how to magnetize yourself with what you want and not with what you don't want. Because on a daily basis, what happens is we're listening to the news, we're watching Corona Shimona go off the charts, we're talking to the neighbor about, what's going on in the world. And then our friend calls us and starts complaining about a boyfriend, and we're constantly bombarded with negative thinking and constantly bombarded with things that we don't want, right? If you don't want something, stop thinking about the thing. Because when we're magnetizing with all these things, we're calling it into our life. And the universe doesn't care, and it doesn't know if you want it or don't want it. Just knows that you're thinking it. And if you're thinking it, law of attraction is going to go to work, and it's going to bring you more of what you're thinking about. This is why people say misery loves company, or, birds of a feather flock together, right?
Absolutely. One of the places that I feel like I see this the most in my patients is with weight loss. And you can almost kind of tell when somebody is ready to actually lose weight and to go forth into like the body that they want to have. Because sometimes you see, and I can see when patients are just standing in their own way, right? And you can see like the two very difficult steps forward and then two easy steps backward to end up in the exact same place. So you mentioned weight as one of the things that you felt like you got into, like your ideal weight, your ideal body. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and a little bit about like getting into a mindset to make that shift easier on patients so that it doesn't feel quite so difficult?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have this marvelous powerhouse of a mind, and we have something called the subconscious mind, which is essentially a supercharged battery or a supercharged motor with no direction and no ability to decide for itself where it goes. It can only go where we tell it to go. So if we're saying all day long, or, if we're saying all day long, oh my gosh, I'm so overweight, I can never lose weight. We're saying that all the time. We're always complaining about our weight, blah, 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 feeling bad for ourselves because we're overweight or our weight keeps fluctuating. We're so focused on it. We really want to change it. And you really want to change it, but you're so focused on it, you can only get more of the problem. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is maybe when you were little, you were ridiculed or judged for weight, or you were made fun of, or your self-image was hurt a bit. And those childhood wounds were never healed. And so they're still in your subconscious mind. So what happens is over time, we build these very, really strong beliefs or pathways, you could call them, in our brain. And quite literally, they become so strong that they become our normal, right? Have you ever seen someone who's just always really fit and you're like, how do you just eat whatever you want? You're always fit. And they're like, I don't know, I just am. And you're like, well, that would be nice, right? And then again, you see someone who eats a cheesecake and all of a sudden it shows up on their left thigh and they're like, what the heck, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on there, right? We would say, oh, metabolism, oh, diet, oh, blah, blah, oh, blah, blah, right? There's all these symptoms that we want to cure, but it's not getting down to the root cause. And the root cause is what you believe to be true about self. It's your perception of self. It's your belief about self. So we can manifest with new thoughts always. But unless you are very aware of how to do this, what's happening is you're constantly thinking based off of your programming. So if you don't believe you can lose the weight, you're going to have thoughts that support you not being able to lose the weight. If you believe that this is just how you are and this is just not going to change and you've just always been like this, then you're going to start thinking thoughts about that support that belief. And so then thoughts continue to become things and you keep perpetuating the same results over and over and over again. A really common story is when people release weight, they go on a diet, they do something external, diet, they release the weight, they're so happy, all of a sudden, boom, weight's back. They're like, what's up? I thought I lost it. I thought I released it. Again, they treated the external cause, right? They treated the effect, right? But they didn't get to the cause. Unless you change the inside can never change. So an easy, flowy, fun way to shift this is not by going to the gym more. It's not by crash dieting. It's not by any of that stuff, you know. It's just by shifting your belief around what's possible for you. So again, might challenge you. You might say, oh my gosh, this is woo-woo, this is silly. I thought the same thing once, but your way's not working if you're listening to this, so you might as well give it a whirl, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing, is that you don't know if something's going to work for you unless you try it. One of the things that I frequently recommend to my patients if they're struggling with something, so I recommend it a lot in patients who are struggling with anxiety, or in patients who are struggling with, like you're saying, that self-image, and they're keeping themselves kind of blocked in where they are because of their own self-image, is gratitude journaling. And the research on gratitude journaling is fantastic on releasing anxiety and depression. And what's so interesting is that patients, especially patients with depression, will often say, well, I don't even know what to write down that I'm grateful for, but it can be the easiest, tiniest little thing that you're training your brain to focus on something positive and to bring something positive to yourself. And so I feel like gratitude journaling and the research on gratitude journaling kind of leads into this idea of manifesting what you want. Because when your brain focuses on positive things, research shows that rates of anxiety and depression get better. Research shows that overall life satisfaction gets better just by something super simple like writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. So I feel like the research is there. It's just maybe not as cut and dry as some people would want it to be, right?
Yeah, well, to loop the weight thing back in, this ties in perfectly. An easy, flowy way to release weight is just by repeating something day in and day out about how you're easily and effortlessly releasing the weight. It's building the belief in your subconscious so that it can go to work on your behalf and release the weight for you. All of a sudden, you'll start to know that your taste buds will change. You'll no longer crave cake. You'll want carrots. You'll start to gravitate towards healthier restaurants. You won't know why, but you just will. It's because that subconscious program is now shifted, and now your programming is serving what you want and not serving what you don't want, right? So it's really, the name of the game is being able to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can start to see the results that you really do desire and stop being your own enemy inside your own mind. And the way that you do that is through repetition of affirming what it is that you want and what you're moving into. The thing with gratitude and gratitude journaling is everyone has anxiety and everyone experiences depression. And if everyone started to understand how their mind works and how to focus thought energy, promise you the rates would be plummeting instead of skyrocketing right now. And it's because when you're focused on gratitude, when you're focused on, I mean, it could be, wow, I love my nails that I just got done. Wow, I love these unicorn slippers that I have on. I really love the coffee that I had this morning. Oh my gosh, look at how blue the sky is right now, how green the grass is right now. Oh my gosh, look at the fridge. This fridge, it stores food for me. Wow, like that is incredible. This glass holds water that I can drink out of. Like, who the heck invented this? Wow. It's just having so much fun with just noticing the little things and being able to pick up on any evidence around you that is good. What happens is, again, if you're wired to think of what's not good, right? You're thinking about what's not good, then you're feeling not so good. Your feelings then control your actions, which are not so good. And then your actions control your results. So your thoughts are literally the first step in the manifestation pipeline, right? So it's thoughts, feelings, actions, results. If your thoughts are, oh my God, nothing's going well, I don't know what I'm doing here, I'm so depressed, I'm never going to get out of it, blah, 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 you're probably going to feel like crap. And when you feel like crap, you procrastinate, you have fear, you have doubt, you worry, you start to develop anxiety that registers in the body. And then you take no action because you're just frozen. So it's all very much manageable, and I'm not saying there isn't, medicine that comes in at some point with different levels, especially with chemicals going on in the brain. However, a large majority of people with just gratitude journaling in the morning and at night, and even if you feel like you're BSing yourself, even if you feel like this is silly, this is stupid, this isn't going to work, it's fine. Just keep doing it. I promise you'll start to see things shift. You will. It's law.
Definitely. And I think right now with everything that's going on, a lot of
Ugh,
what
yeah.
people are experiencing is, like you said, an overrun of negativity. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like they are spending all day watching the news and hearing all of the negative aspect of what's going on. And so a little bit of gratitude mixed in there can really change things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about what you just said is that it leads to action. So I think
Mm.
that's what people don't get about manifesting. And I think that that's what often gets missed, I feel like, is that people think, okay, I think it and it just comes.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a step between that where my understanding is that your thoughts create your actions and then the actions create change. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not that you don't do anything, it's that you maybe your actions become easier and a little bit less uphill. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct?
So what happens is when you start thinking in line with what you say that you want, right? A lot of people say I want more money, but they're complaining about bills and they're complaining about debt all day long, but they want more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a double binding message, right? Universe hears, okay, you're saying you want more money, but you're thinking about this all day long, so you're thinking about this, you must want more of this.
Yes.
So it's whatever you're thinking about repetitively, remember, and having that emotion tied in with it. So a lot of people are very emotional about debt and very emotional about money because it has this big push and pull in our society. If you can let go of the emotion behind money, right, and put things on autopilot and just manage it a bit better and start focusing on what you want, less of what you don't want, you'll start moving in that direction. So when people think that they can just start thinking and then do nothing, the thinking causes you to feel good, right? I promise if everyone just closed their eyes right now and says, hug themselves and said, I love you, I love you, I love you 100 times, by
Mm-hmm.
the end of the 100th I love you, you might even be in tears. You're going to feel so good. And with each I love you, you sink deeper and deeper and deeper into who you are, into your true self, and you feel amazing. Now, when you feel amazing, right? When we say I feel good or I feel bad, we're saying I feel good, I'm in a high vibration, or I feel bad, I'm in a low vibration. And this is super deep stuff here. I don't know how deep you want to get, but when you're in a high vibration, you're attracting more of what you want. You're thinking you're in peace, you're in harmony, you're in love, you are in grace, you are happy, blissful, eager, excited, just you've got that zest going on, your peace, or even your neutral, right? Higher vibration. But if you're in worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, anger, envy, greed, grief, any of those things, then what's happening is you're in a low vibration and you can only attract more of what you don't want. So it's not woo woo, it's literally physics. When you think thoughts, it controls how you feel. And because we're energy, we're literally all energy, right? We're mass and energy, but mass literally is just energy in a different form. So we're just always in motion. We're always in motion, we're always moving. And so what happens, when water heats up, turns to steam, right? Goes to a higher vibration, now is kind of everywhere. It's able to work in different ways. When we're, as humans, are in a higher vibration, we're able to get what we want more. We're able to really work in this different realm. When we're in a low vibration, it's like shit just keeps happening. Excuse my French. It's just like, oh my God, oh my God. At a molecular level, we shift. When we feel good, we shift. When we feel bad, we shift. And it's that feeling that puts everything into motion, and then you take inspired action. You feel good, so you do. You feel good, so you call. You feel good, so you step out. You feel good, so you put your makeup on, right?
Absolutely. That definitely makes sense. And I think that you see, if people look in their life and they actually like pay attention to it, you really do see it. Like I see it in my life where like something will happen, whatever it is that's bringing, some anxiety or a little bit of difficulty. And it's funny, I'll see it in my patient schedule where all of a sudden that week patients are like moving their appointments left, right, and center. And my schedule is crazy busy and now it has gaps in it. And so it's interesting how it will just show up. And in some patients' lives, I feel like it doesn't show up quite so drastically because they don't have a calendar to look at like I do, but it does show up.
Yeah.
What do you think about, so do you give your clients any tools, right, for when they're in a kind of moment of anxiety, because we all have them, right? We all have things that happen in our lives that suck, and we all have moments of anxiety. And, you know, if finances are stressful, like you can't just not pay your bills, right? So
Right.
what's your tool for that? Or do you have tools that you give them?
Yeah, the best one that I've come across this far, I've got a few. So you could do gratitude. You could write out gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't feel good to you to do at the time, don't do it, because if you don't feel good, again, it's not going to do its job. What I do is I have this app on my phone. It's called a fan app, and it literally plays the sound of a fan. It's like static noise.
Okay.
So I will drop everything. I'll move an appointment. I'll reschedule something, put the bill down, whatever it is for you guys. Stop all activity. Go to a nice couch. So I have a couch in my office, and I lay on the couch and I play the fan app, and I just focus on the noise of the fan. And you want to stay there for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until all resistance is out of yourself,
Okay.
until you're calm and peaceful. And your goal is to stop thought. So when you're listening to the fan app, you're focused on the static noise. Your job is not to think positive. It's not to try to get out of it. Just listen to the noise. And while you're listening to the noise, your eyes are closed. You're just going to become aware that you're going to start to feel better. You don't need to try to start to feel better. You don't need to force it. You don't need to think positive thoughts, nothing. Don't do anything. You just listen to the fan, and suddenly you'll notice that you're feeling better and better and better. And when you start to feel better, don't get up and say, oh my gosh, I feel better. Notice it and sit there for a minute. Notice it and sit there and feel, okay, resistance is gone. I feel clarity. I feel peace. I've stopped sweating. My heart rate's back to normal. Calm, right? And then what you can do is reapproach the problem the next day. Or when you get to that really great feeling space, right, you could say, you know what? I know that this seems like a big problem right now, but I trust that everything always works out for myself. And I would really love for this to just all work out somehow. I would love for the universe to just surprise me, and it's just all going to work out. Wouldn't that be great if it just worked out for me? Go about your day. I promise you it will freaking work out.
Mm-hmm.
Something will happen. Someone will call. Someone will donate. I mean, guys, you just got to not reject, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've always got universe or God working with us. We just don't lean on it enough. But it's a co-creation here. And this is a little woo-woo, but just have your minds open, because it's not woo-woo. It's literally just how the world works.
Yeah.
But that's my number one tip, especially for anxiety. Stop all thought. Stop trying to get out of it. Stop worrying about why you're in it. Go to a couch, play a fan app, close your eyes, and listen to the fan. That's it.
I love that suggestion. That's actually a suggestion I haven't heard of, and I love that, because a lot of the time, some of what I've heard is like distracting your mind to other things around you, which I think is really important, and that's kind of what the fan app is doing, but actually with the goal of not forcing thought, because it's really hard to force thought if you are in a place of high anxiety.
So when you're in a place of high anxiety, it's like a little snowball that now has so much momentum. And so if you start to try to think positive thoughts, that's freaking snowball's going to take them down. It's like no thought can survive that snowball.
Yes.
So you've just got to let the snowball go, and you've just got to get back to ground zero.
That is like that description makes complete sense. And I think that is an awesome tool for.
It's brilliant. Use it.
That is.
Even when I don't have anxiety, I use it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that. So if our viewers wanted to wanted to get started, where do you recommend starting?
My dad and I are business partners. We created a membership called Mindset Masters. Mm-hmm. There's live webinars where you can literally come and ask how to get started. And honestly, genuinely, that's the only place I feel confident telling people to go, because you could fumble around with books. You could read books till you're blue in the face. Mm-hmm. You could purchase all the courses that you want to try and figure it out, but they're all decently pricey. Mm-hmm. You can Google things, but the information's scattered. So Mindset Masters, I mean, you get 14 days free, and then I think it's like $37 a month now. And it's live webinars every single Monday night, and you get live videos every day, and we teach you literally how to get what you want, how to manifest. But if you're at a place where you're not ready to invest and you don't want to, that's totally fine. I would say start meditating 20, 30 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And people get all cross about meditation. It's just sitting quietly. You could just do the fan app thing. Just play the fan app and set your alarm for 30 minutes and just sit there and stop thought. Meditation is just calming your mind and stopping thought. It's allowing, it's receiving, it's getting ideas, it's becoming in tune with yourself and just being present in your body. So I'd say start there, and your gratitude journal. Meditation and gratitude, if you do those two things, you will start to see things shift.
Yes, I love that. And with meditation, so you said the idea is to stop that, but I think people, including myself, right, when you first start meditating, it's easy to get caught up in the fact that you can't stop your thought, right?
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, my brain should be completely quiet because I'm trying to meditate. And you almost get more angry because your brain's not quiet.
Yeah. It's more so stopping forced thought.
Yeah.
It's more so being able to relax and just see pictures and things flash in the screen of your mind,
mm-hmm.
versus trying to force yourself into like a guided meditation. So there's passive meditation, which is quieting thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's active meditation, which is playing a YouTube video or actively going into your mind and visualizing what you want, or allowing the pictures to flash in your mind and then feeling really great about those images.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways to meditate. But the easiest one to start is just play the fan app or play some nice music that's static, and close your eyes 20, 30 minutes and just allow your thoughts to just go. At first, it will be weird and super noisy in your head. And then you keep doing it and it gets more and more and more and more quiet. And you're able to just really chill after a while. So it's like a relationship. If you don't do it every day, it's a weak chaotic thing. And if you do it every day, it gets better and better and better and better.
I literally just had this conversation with a patient today regarding sleep hygiene, right? And we were talking about how many days it takes to create a habit, which is something like 28 days or whatever it is, right? To create a habit. But on top of creating a habit, I feel like with sleep hygiene, sometimes what ends up happening is that patients will do really well during the week. And then on the weekend, they'll be like, oh, it's okay. I don't need to do it because it's the weekend. But you sabotage your ability to actually create that habit. You sabotage your ability to actually put that into your programming and to actually shift the entire way that you do things. So every day is actually important, despite the fact that it's
your mind. It's so funny. Like, your mind is such a fun, cool place. Mm-hmm. Once you really program yourself to do a new thing, it stops being hard and it starts being fun.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll start to look forward to waking up. You'll start to look forward to your mornings by yourself before the chaos and the noise of the world hits. You'll start to appreciate those things and look forward to it. Similarly to, I used to not like going to the gym. I used to force myself to the gym. And after doing it for a long enough period of time, now if I don't go to the gym, I feel like I'm missing a leg. So that's how habits work. And so you've got to get past, you've got to be able to consciously override your pull to go back to your normal, to go back to your comfort, because once you override it, it becomes part of your new comfort, and then it's comfortable and you're like, hey, I am like automatically awesome. Like, I just wake up. So you've got to be strong enough to override that for at least 28 to 60 days, depending on how long it takes.
Yep, absolutely. I love those suggestions. So if people watching this want to get more info, what's the best way to follow your content? What's the best way to kind of get in touch with you and learn more in little bits?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's just my name, Maddie Dalmaso. On Instagram, if you shoot me a DM that says podcast, I can get you set up with a little freebie. It's just 100 affirmations, and it starts to train your mind as to how to think in a way that will serve you. So I can get you guys that freebie. If you listen to this, just shoot me a DM that says podcast, and I will get that to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see where people go with this episode, because I think that training the mind is such an important aspect, and it is something that you have to put some intentional effort into, Like it doesn't just happen. You have to intentionally create what you want and
Yes.
allow yourself to have what you want in some ways, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
I
brilliant.
love that. Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Just a quick reminder, if you like the content that we're putting out, please go ahead and hit the like button. That helps our channel a lot. And then always hit the subscribe button so that you know what's coming up next. Have a great week.